All right, let's talk about some ways that we could fix the U.S. government. I've got a few of them that I've thought of. First and foremost, eliminate or abolish political parties. I know that's probably going to ruffle some feathers wrong. Think about it though. How much of the division that we face in our country comes from the fact that we have these political parties that divide people? Uh, it's like an us versus them, my team versus the other team, and it's just not really conducive for social cohesion. And if you think about the fact that people are more likely to overlook misdoing or misdeeds or wrongdoing when it's on their team, it'll increase the corruption having it. But more than that, having the either blind acceptance or blind hatred for another person or group of people simply because of their party affiliation or the color they associate with is no different than gangs and the mentality or behavior they exhibit. See, second thing I would point out is put term limits on all elected and leadership positions in government. It's really past time to do so. Let's see. Another thing that we could do would be make it illegal for any sitting member of Congress, a legislature or a individual in a regulatory body, or anybody directly connected to them for that matter, make it illegal for them to trade in stocks of any company that is benefited by any piece of legislation or regulation that they are passing, are going to pass, or have passed with a 6 month either way window. That's the case for civilians. It's generally considered to be insider trading. It is definitely a conflict of interest and pretty corrupt. Let's see. Something else that you could look at would be well, let's get rid of lobbying. You've got the special interests that lobby for stuff. You've got the corporations that lobby for stuff. It's just, I think it's kind of an abusive position. It is definitely not just in the best interest of the people. Also, another point would be to make it illegal to use tax dollars to fund political campaigns. And while we're on the political campaign side, anybody who is currently in office should be prohibited from campaigning on behalf of another person. That really it's a waste of taxpayer money because we're paying their salary while they're doing that. It is also a waste of the time and resources of them in office, and it is kind of an abuse of power because they're trying to use their position of power and influence. So let's see, what's another one of the things that we could look at doing? We could reduce the size and scope of the various agencies of the government that continuously expand. Yeah, it ends up just this giant unelected bureaucratic state that runs things in the background that the taxpayers don't have a say in. So that should be reduced, and any expansion in their size, in their scope, in their authority, in their reach should have to be approved by the taxpayers and voters, not by the government. Now, that brings me to another point that there should be a civilian oversight board that has the ability to immediately halt any action whatsoever that the federal government is doing. If it is sidestepping the Constitution, if it is going directly against the Constitution, and it's something that should be done for the sake of government accountability. Now, it's one of those things that having the government keep themselves in check is a conflict of interest, and really, it's just stupid to do. Um, Another thing that there is with the government that is a issue and should be corrected is the revolving door that goes between the government agencies and companies in which they regulate. For example, you could have a person who goes from a high up position at an agricultural company directly into a high up position at the FDA, where they pass legislation that benefits that company that they just left. And then once they're done with their term over at the FDA, they go back to that company. That's, again, a conflict of interest. It's bad form, for sure, and has a lot of room for corruption. So there's that part of it. When it comes to legislation that gets written in and passed and everything, something really important for that would be that it should be illegal for any of the legislators to put in provisions on a bill that have absolutely nothing to do with the bill. These are known as riders. They are unethical, they are disingenuous, and they are just wrong. If they're trying to push through a bill that's the Medical Autonomy Act, it shouldn't have provisions for congressional expansion, shouldn't have provisions for increasing political salaries, and it shouldn't have provisions for daycare for puppies. That's just not right. Um, you know, Back to the oversight thing. The government officials that are in violation of, say, the Constitution or their actual authority in their positions need to be held accountable. Now, one of the other points that I would bring up on this is the contents of both Epstein's and Ghislaine Maxwell's client list should be released to the public, unredacted, and anybody in any official capacity who was involved in any way, shape, or form should be held accountable.